Hi everyone, it's Sue Plumb here to share another scrapbook process video with you. Today I am playing along with the Mix It Up Monday creative hop with a bunch of other talented creative people. Now the idea of this hop is to take a traditional scrapbook sketch, like the one that you can see there, designed by Rochelle Spears, and to mix it up using mixed media. Now, if you've been following my channel a bit, you know that I love getting my hands dirty and playing with mixed media. So I figured this one was right up my alley. So for this layout, I decided to continue on with my stash busting quest, which was to try and make a bit of a dent in some of the stuff that I have in this room. So I started off with a patterned paper there from Vicky Bouton, that black striped paper that you can see. Now it came from, I'm not sure what collection it was from off the top of my head because I have a lot of them. It came from a paper pad though, so the paper was actually quite thin. So rather than just using it on its own as a background, it's why I decided to cut it down to measure 11 by 11 and mount it onto the cardstock sheet just to give it a bit more body and make it a bit stronger. So I've distressed around the edges, I've added some rips into it too because I am actually going for what I like to term girly grunge today. So I'm going for messy, grungy, but not a boy layout, because I'm actually documenting some photos of my daughter and I messing around, taking selfies, being silly. Anyway, so we're going for girly grunge today. So I had my pattern paper there and you would have seen that I applied some acrylic paint to that. I did that using one of my very fancy tools, which is a spatula from Kmart that cost $1. I love it. It makes it really easy to spread paint around the page. It's super easy to clean, and if it gets raggedy, I throw it out, and because it costs $1, I don't even feel bad. Anyway, that second pattern paper that you could see me using there, the one with the shades of blue on it, that was actually a paper from the Heidi Swap Art Walk collection, and I grabbed that because it had a bit of a mixed media style and I thought it would work well with this project. So now I'm going in with some stamping over the top of my acrylic paint, and I'm using a stamp from Carabelle Studio, and I am using my Faded Jeans Distressed Oxide there. That is almost one of my favourite colours of Distress Oxides. It's like the perfect blue, and because I am addicted to denim jeans, then it's right up my alley. So I used that blue colour to stamp over the top of the white acrylic paint so that it showed up. And you can see that I'm now bringing that pattern paper back in with those tones of blue. And like I said, continuing on with the stash busting, here's something that we haven't seen in a while. Did anyone have any Hambly screen prints overlays in their stash? I had quite a healthy little collection of these things because I really love working with acetate. And I found this partly used sheet in my stash and I thought it might work really well on this page. Part of it would work really well on this page. So I've actually cut out sort of that frame part that I've got and I've layered it over the top of that pattern paper piece there. I've then added some frayed gauze over the top for texture, and I've stapled it all down onto my page just to hold it in place. And you can see I have actually attached those two little photo strips together. I've added scrap cardboard on the back of them to help pop them up from the page. And there's just a little paper clip between the two strips at the top to helping hold them together. So I've gone in and stuck my photos over the top of all of those layers. And now I'm going to go through and add some embellishments. So what I did was I picked through my stash before I started this layout and just pulled out some things that I thought would work. I knew I wouldn't necessarily use all of them, but I knew that I would find a number of things in there that I could use. So at the moment, I'm actually using some chipboard pieces from the Coco Vanilla Studio Boys Rule collection. Now you can see that I'm going with a bit of a monochromatic colour palette here. I've got black, white and blues basically that was the color palette. Now there was two reasons for this. Number one, because it worked well with the colors in the photos because my daughter actually had a blue jumper on, but number two, I decided to be inspired by the logo for this hop, for the Mix It Up Monday hop, which is black, white and blue. There you go, that's the explanation behind it. So going with my chipboard pieces, I have actually chosen to use the word awesome from the chipboard pack there, which I'm adding foam tape to run along the bottom of the page because that's going to form part of my title. I've also used a chipboard frame, which I've tucked in under the photos on the left side there. And you'll see a little bit further along in the video that I actually go back and stick another piece of frame on the right-hand side as well, just to sort of balance it out. But I am sticking with those shades of black, blue, and white. Now, you'll see that arrow piece that I have on the page there. That's a handmade embellishment from Charms Creations. It's got layers of tulle, felt, and that top layer there is denim. So that worked perfectly with this page. Now you can see that I am stapling something on my page there, and what I'm actually stapling on is a bit of wire. Now wire, staples, those sort of metallic elements are things that I like to include on a grunge style page. They just give it that urban edge. I've also got the paperclip there, which is also metal, and it works really well in giving it, like I said, that grungy urban feel. It works well on masculine pages, but you can see with this, it works equally well on a girly grunge page too. So I just twisted the wire around sort of in a random sort of squiggly shape there, just above my title, under my photos, and then I've just stapled it onto the page. The staples are quite visible, and that's exactly how I wanted it. Now, one of the other things that I am stash busting here is you can see those heart shapes that I've actually stuck on the page. They were one of my favourite embellishments out of my stash. They were from the Heidi Swap, I don't know, I want to say like Dreamy collection or something. It was from long, long ago. And I kind of hoarded them because they were, again, like an acetate embellishment, and I really love working with acetate pieces, as I said. So I've stuck a few of them on the right side of the page there, just sort of, you can see how they're just sort of traveling up the page. Above the photos, I've added a die cut star, which came from the Boys Rule. I've got a bit of a frog in my throat tonight, which came from the Boys Rule ephemera pack. And now I'm digging back into the Boys Rule chipboard pack to see what other stars and things that I could use up from that pack. What else have I put onto this page? I have got that little tab there that says Best Ever, which hasn't actually found its permanent home on the page just yet. I'm still fiddling with it, but it basically is where it does end up. I also went around one of those little acetate stars with a white paint pen, because you can see that the two lower hearts there were sticking over the top of the white paint, and the other one wasn't popping as much because it was sitting off the white paint. So I just decided to add a little white paint border around it just to help it pop off from the page a bit. Now I found a chipboard arrow that I've placed down the bottom there to point from the title to the photos. If you're familiar with my work, you'll know that using arrows is something that I like to do a lot of, pointing into particular points of interest or pointing to a title, or as I have on this page, making the connection between the photos and the main word in the title like that. Now, the rest of this title was obviously We Are, so the title in its entirety reads We Are Awesome. So I used some little Rosie Studio puffy alphas up the top there that I had in my stash. I didn't actually have any A's left, so all I did was spun a V upside down for the A and added a little cross line with a Sharpie. So you've just got to work with what you've got. Now I'm adding a bit of washi tape to this page because I have a really decent stash of washi tape that I don't use enough. So I'm trying to make a concerted effort when I'm doing a page to pull out a tape or two that does match and see if I can get it down onto the page. Now on top of that little arrow, I added a skull and crossbones flare button, which was also from the Boys Rule collection. And now I'm going around doing a scribbly border. Now the pencil that I'm using there is my Stabilo All pencil, which works well on paper, metal, plastic, glass, you name it. It's also water soluble. And I'm finishing off with some splatters of Dylusion's ink spray in white because that would pop off the black background. And that was basically it. Thanks so much for joining me today. Make sure you look down in the comments below for the complete list of everyone playing along and get around and check their videos out. Thanks so much for watching. Bye.